Welcome to The Spotlight, the podcast where veterans and military spouses connect and share how their military experience has transformed their lives and their businesses. Here's your host, Bob Louthen.
Hey, this is your host, Bob Louthen, founder of the Veteran Crowd Network, the network that brings veterans and veteran-led businesses together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. And you are tuning into The Spotlight. Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of our episode with Bill Watkins. Bill's a 1977 graduate of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, and he is the founder and CEO of the Lion's Pride. Once again, this is part 2 of our conversation with Bill Watkins, and here we go. I had Iron Mike Stedman on our podcast, and are you?
Now I'm nervous. Now I know the level of this podcast. I got to step it up.
There you go. We got to step up your game. Hey, are you going? You mentioned Everest. Are you making a trip with him?
That is correct. One of the things that I believe, one of my bold beliefs at the Lion's Pride, is that taking badass people to wild places creates wild level impact. Breathtaking, exhilarating. And so
tell everybody what you guys have got planned, because this is kind of a trip.
Yep. So my son-in-law, David Entrikin, is the COO of an adventure company called Beyond. They specialize in Everest, Kilimanjaro.
Has he summited Everest?
No, we don't. We're just hiking the base camp.
I know you are, but he has not summited Everest.
No, he's guiding people up these peaks and Grand Teton out here in Wyoming. Right. And so we're taking healthy people who want to get themselves out on some sort of edge. Now, it isn't edge like I could die edge. It's edge like I'm really tired. It's edge I'm really cold. It's edge it's very dark out here. It's edge a lot of things. Everest is a different animal. And as we know from the 96 tragedy, even the best can pass away. And I don't intend to leave this earth quite yet. If God calls me, I'm ready to go any millisecond. But if he doesn't call me, I don't want to accelerate that path. And Everest is one of those places that I'm not prepared to put myself at the moment.
You guys are going to the base camp.
Right. We'll land in Kathmandu.
Which is like 17,000. I mean, you got another 12,000 feet to go to get to the top, right? From the base camp.
We stay in Kathmandu to experience it. We fly to Lukla. We start walking out.
How long does it take to walk to the base camp? It's not a short trip. It takes 2 weeks of hiking.
2 weeks.
So it's 2 weeks in and 2 weeks back out?
No, because we have busy business people, we're going to helicopter out. So we'll be ferried out the afternoon that we arrive. We'll get to base camp about in the morning. We'll bivouac maybe about 3 hours away from base camp. We do go over about a 19,000 foot pass on our way. We stay in tea houses most of the way. And then we'll get there in the morning. We'll hang out and experience the community of Everest Base Camp, and then we'll helicopter back out to Kathmandu, have a wrap-up dinner, and then everybody's free to go.
This is just simple curiosity. What elevation is Jackson, Wyoming?
Yeah, so this house is at 6,200, and the valley
from there to the top of the
Grand is 13.8-ish.
So 7,000 feet, you just think about the mass of that mountain you're going to go see. I mean, you're going to be at 17,000 feet and it goes up another 12,000 feet. I mean, that's almost as tall as that highest mountain you're referring to from sea level.
Yeah, exactly. So when I was on the summit of the Grand, you're thinking about it, right? I now need to do another Grand.
You got to go another 5,000 feet to get to where the base camp is.
Bring it on. Let's do it. Now, the variable is altitude. It's very hard to train for altitude. I don't do enough trips at that sort of altitude to know how your body reacts. It's such variable.
Definitely have to acclimate.
So we'll see.
I mean, I'm at probably in Richmond, Virginia. I think I'm probably at 250 feet, above sea level. And so when I go out to Colorado. I went from 250 to 9,500 feet one time and got sick as a dog with, the altitude sickness overnight until I adjusted because I
Well,
went too
Bob,
fast.
well, Bob, you asked me one thing that cycling gave me. I'll tell you two, but I'll repeat one. It's the resilience. I had a lot of, I don't know, on a bicycle, especially this comeback when I wanted to stand on a pro level podium. I still had a Cat 1 license. I wanted to stand on a podium with 25-year-olds if they were in the race, and I wanted to win the national championships or the world championships. And Bob, I wanted to chronicle the journey through a blog that I had at the time to inspire other people. And I accomplished all those goals. Now, here's the deal. If you think that I just clicked my fingers and I was on my way to the level of fitness and all that, to the podiums and to all that, you're wrong. So I had to have resilience. I already talked about that. But the other thing I had to have, or the other two things, which we teach at the Lions Pride, you asked how it informed what we do here. One is you have to have a plan. Everybody talks about having a great life and a great exit if they're building a business and all that, and nobody's got a freaking plan.
Right.
And then it just stays a dream. So it was the same thing when I called all my old cycling friends and mentors and I said, I want to do XYZ, what I just told you. And they said, you are totally crazy. And I said, well, I'm going to do it with you or without you. And they went, oh my gosh, this guy. Okay, I'll help you. And we created a plan. And then the third thing that most badass level people do not do is get freaking help because they trust themselves too much. They've had a lot of success and they think they'll figure it out. They're wrong. I was a proven cyclist. I knew how to develop a training plan, but I also knew that I needed outside eyes, third party advice. And so when you put those three things together, your resilience, your commitment, your plan, and your experts, it drives. Well, that informs my journey at the Lions Pride when I had this flicker out on a backpacking trip where I didn't get a burning bush moment like Moses, but God definitely spoke to me about this last business that I was going to build to an exit, a legacy level business. The trip to Everest Base Camp is also the same thing, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
All these people, including myself, to be able to walk day in, day out, day in, day out, stay in not uncomfortable. We're not sleeping outside in below zero weather, but we are in out of our comfort zone. How do we make this journey successful? It's all about plan, get advice, and damn well develop your resilience.
Hey Bill, when are you making the trip, and will you promise to come back and get on the program and talk about it?
Of course I will, bro. Um, I don't quite have the pre-trip done, but the actual walkout is October 16th, and the walk out from the beginning from Kathmandu is October 16th. Sorry, and then we will helicopter back out on the 29th.
So maybe it'll get you back on like the week before Thanksgiving or something like that. You can
Bring
share
it.
your experiences. We need to put
Do
that
it.
on the calendar now. Hey, let me wind our
You
discussion
betcha.
down with what I refer to as the lightning round. So I asked my
Sure.
guests three quick questions,
Sure.
and just to see what they say. First question, you ready?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
If you had to do your military experience over again and pick a different branch of the service, what would it be and what would you do?
Mm. Yeah, at the time, the most popular option out of when you choose branch at West Point, at the time they did it by class rank. And so the highest in class rank probably did I don't know, Rhodes Scholar or medical corps or something, and they went to med school. All right. I don't know, I think I was in the top 15 of class. I don't know. But anyway, I got to choose engineer. And had I to do it all over again, because of what I've learned since then, I would choose infantry and I would deploy with, some cool infantry division
Hmm.
in some cool place. And It would have
As
been
you
a hell
know,
of a
when
lot
we
of
were
fun.
engineers, we became infantry pretty quickly. All
Right.
right. Second question.
Hmm.
What's the most significant life lesson you learned in the service?
Oh, yeah. Well, it the seed was planted in the service, but it did not completely germinate and grow until much later. Bob, what I learned in the military was, as we said earlier, accomplish the mission. For whatever reason, in my DNA, that became part of my self worth. And when I did not accomplish the mission, which is impossible, not everybody accomplishes the mission, at least I don't. Um, it really imploded my self worth to the point that it really affected me as a human. I have this saying, my daughter's name is Lena, Lena. I say, Lena taking a bath and going to bed is not the same as taking a hill. I used to treat life, Bob, like a mission, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I learned in the military was, as we talked about, accomplishing the mission, the importance of achievement, the importance of winning. But also, I did not learn, but subsequent, because of my military training, I carried that forward into civilian world when I was no longer attached to the military. I began to all evolve as a human into, yeah, accomplish the missions, drive forward, but failure is certainly an option.
Mm.
I don't know about all these people who say failure is not an option. I don't know what world they live in. And I became a more multidimensional human when I was able to walk with both feet in both those paths and bounce back and forth between those paths.
All right. Third and final question.
Thank you.
One interesting trivial fact about Bill Watkins that maybe people wouldn't know.
Other than trout laugh at me when I go fly fishing, or that I had, even with map, compass, and straight edge, I have gotten myself pretty damn well lost in some of these Teton and Snake River mountains. Um, uh, well, if you know me, I'm a stoic, and if you know me, I'm pretty grizzly bear, wonderful teddy bear heart on the inside. What you will probably be surprised to know is that, and I know Nancy will never be listening to this podcast, but Nancy was a professional dancer. We danced pro am, ballroom dancing, uh, both Latin and classic. And I competed with her and trained with her for many, many, many years.
How about
And
that?
most people would think that's quite out of character if they knew the Bill Watkins that you're talking to right
Be on Dancing with the Stars in the future?
now. No, not happening. Not happening.
Not happening.
I'll tell you, give me one more thing, because this
All
is
right.
really important. Bob, as we evolve as humans, we do make mistakes, and sometimes we get a do-over. I got a do-over with my wife Donna. Donna and I were West Point sweethearts. One of us wasn't smart enough to ask the other one to marry. We went off and did our lives. We were completely separated. And by the grace of coincidence and God, after I was divorced from my first wife, Donna and I reconnected. By the grace she has for me, we married, and I got a do over on the most meaningful thing that's ever entered into my life. And so you would not know that just because you see us, we're just a married couple.
Right.
And since we have history, we talk about the past a lot. You would think that we went to high school together. You would think that we just were one of those stories. Well, we're not.
Who outranks who, Bill?
The Queen has the final approval authority on all things except for where I might go in the backcountry, and she only requires that I return.
There you go. Gosh, is so much to talk about. I'm excited about the Lion's Pride. Give me, we're going to run over here. We're doing that.
Sure,
Maybe we'll break this discussion into two podcasts. But,
sure.
you know, I've had a saying, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. I tell people often when we're working on a project, this is simple. It just isn't easy.
Totally.
And, I've been spending my time trying to, make things simple. It doesn't make them less hard.
Right.
But, what's your feeling on that comment?
Well, I think as Steve Jobs riffed and rambled on, simplicity is the greatest, what did he call it? The greatest innovation, the greatest complexity. This little device, this phone I have looks pretty simple, seems to work pretty simple, but it's obviously very complex. Um, I believe businesses are very simple. I believe lives are very simple. George Valiant left the Grant study, which is the longest study of human happiness going on. They started it in 1938. And he's come up with 10 things. He calls it the decathlon to a flourishing life. I can name 10 things, which will be my book on developing a 10x level business. Bob, here's where it starts. Here's where it starts. Jim Collins wrote Good to Great 2.0, Turning the Flywheel, I think in 2019. He called it a monograph, 60 pages. When we break, I'll just pick business, not life, just take business. When we break a business down, Amazon broke their business down into a one-page flywheel with, I think, 6 things on it. And they're going to become a $1 trillion company soon. And they're still doing those 6 things.
Mm-hmm.
When we broke finally our business down in 2015 or 2016 into the flywheel, into our flywheel, which we just updated like Monday, it made it all really simple and really understandable and hard as hell. Because in each one of those steps, Bob, and in the overlay, that's where the not easy becomes, but that's okay because we have this simple, we make it simple for people. And so I think what you're alluding to is, how do I break this down into my business, for example, into what I can understand and grasp, and then slowly build out the playbook that executes on the flywheel.
I spend a lot of time trying to communicate to my people what we're all about. How do we get here, and what we're all about. Hey, Bill, how does everybody get in touch with you?
Yep, that's fine. Go to our website, www.thelionspride.com. You'll find a way to contact me if you'd like to reach me. You'll find all our free public workshops. We've got an online arsenal of free materials. And of course, if anybody's ever interested in exploring the cohort, if you think you're good enough, we'd love to accept applications from your listeners, because I know they're a tough crowd. Bob,
I am going to be on.
Go ahead.
I'm going to be on one of your online webinars, I think, this week. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So
I got to up my game and take a few naps before you show up.
There you go. Well, I'm going to bring it. Well, that's it. Gosh, I'm always amazed at how fast time goes by. And in this case, there's a lot to talk about. Bill, we're going to invite you back after you go to Kathmandu and go to the base camp of Everest. And, just really appreciate you being on the program today.
Thanks, Bob.
Hey, you've been listening to the Spotlight on the Veteran Crowd Network. We're bringing veterans who are making a difference and an impact to you every week. A big shout out and a bravo Zulu to our guest today, Bill Watkins of the Lions Pride. And folks, that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to Spotlight by Veteran Crowd. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and uploads, please visit our website at veterancrowdnetwork.com. We'll see you next time.